Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of March 14th. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Welcome. One change on the agenda, if my colleagues are amenable to it, I'd like to ask for a motion to move J1 forward.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Julie, we're going to go through that right after we go through consent agenda and approve the minutes. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the Town Council, the first item on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next item is submission of minutes of previous meeting, item A1.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, so item J1 is continued from your February 28th meeting. This is a memorandum from the treasurer requesting interdepartmental line item transfer from community development to recreation.
And by the way, thank you for everyone's indulgence. Julie's not feeling her chip herself and is recovering from the flu, so she asked if we wouldn't mind moving it forward. So thank you, everyone.
I think I can answer any questions. There is a transfer request, and normally lines within a department budget is authorized through the administration. However, when there's a transfer between departments, it goes before the council for council approval. In this case, we requested $16,400 to be transferred from community development to recreation. It would be under the line item of salaries. The purpose of it was to continue to fund the coordinator of senior activities until July 1. So to fund it without using the senior center's salary line budget. And the question might be, why community development? Well, there was a savings there in salaries when Jessica Flomer, our economic development coordinator, left. There was a 3-month window where we weren't paying the salary. So there is funding in that salary account. So we asked for that transfer to continue to pay for the coordinator of senior services until July 1. The other reason for the transfer would be to hire an assistant director of Parks and Recreation. Director Burke is retiring. His last day is April 10th. This would allow us to hire somebody and get them up to speed, get them comfortable and ready for the busy season, which is the start of the summer camp and the opening of the beach. So that's the purpose of the request.
Well, it seems appropriate, and I'll make a motion to approve the transfer from community development to recreation.
Second.
Is there a discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julie, hope you feel better.
Amy, you don't have to go home early, do you? No? Okay. All right.
The next item, Mr. Chairman and members of the Town Council, is item D1. This is the petition of Melissa Brady for Our Lady of Mount Carmel School. Request council consideration for a one-day dancing and entertainment license for April 6th. You have recommendations provided by the Town Administrator, Fire Chief, and Chief of Police, all to approve.
Upon all those recommendations, I make a motion to approve for the date specified for Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Also from Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, we have the petition of Carol Almonte, request for a bingo license for March 23rd. You have recommendations provided by the Town Administrator, Fire Chief, and Chief of Police.
Motion to approve bingo license.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is item E1. This is for the annual cesspool license renewals.
Motion to approve cesspool license renewals for
Second.
2018.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And item E2 is the annual tattoo license renewals.
Where's Halsey? Okay.
You
For
also
those of
have
you who don't know, Halsey was not the biggest fan of tattoos, and we'd get to this agenda item every year with teeth grinning behind there, and he'd go off on why he didn't think it was right, and he was very consistent, and we enjoyed his consistency. So
That's why I'm consistent. I'm always looking down that way.
yeah, I know.
Sure.
It's fun.
Good to have her.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the petition of Courtney Poissant, the president of Mosaico CDC, requests council permission to serve and sell alcoholic beverages on the town common for a Stuffies and Stella fundraising event on June 17th. You have recommendations provided by the town administrator, fire chief, chief of police, and you also have the special facility, special event facility requests approved by Recreation Director Burke.
I'll make a motion that we approve this event and thank Mosaico for putting the details in front of this council with your application. Everything is thorough, and as long as it doesn't, like I always say before, and I know, Diane, you're ahead of this with the events and schedule of the town common. It's a busy time of the year, so I just make a motion that and wish you luck on this event. So.
I'll second the motion, and Diane, thank you for being so organized and making sure we had all the information we needed.
I have a discussion point. I would ask that you come up and use 30 seconds of free airtime to share with the people of Bristol and beyond what it is and why they should be there on June 17th.
I was doing a different approach because she was looking at me,
so much.
and I didn't know if you wanted to expedite the meeting of just, are they going to approve it? So
That's all right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you
Seems
very
like we're
much.
almost there.
First of all, I want to introduce the town council. Well, thank you very much. I'm Diana Campbell, as everyone knows, for the camera, Mosaico Executive Director. I'm introducing a new president who was elected to Mosaico CDC, is Courtney Poissant, who is taking over and is the new energy that we need for Wood Street and Wood Street improvements. So
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So going forward, I hope to do a lot of fundraising over the next few years and really bring some light to the Wood Street area. I think with the whole point of this Stuffies and Stella competition is to raise money towards the 2017 Streetscape grant that we got. That is really going to help bring Wood Street alive, new trash cans, we're going to get bike racks, new light poles. It's just going to really clean up our area, and that's the goal of what we're trying to do. With the Stuffies and Stella competition, it will be a fundraiser event. We're going to reach out to all the restaurants, Bristol, Warren, and Barrington, to bring your best Stuffy. The winner will get an ad in the paper saying that they are the best Stuffy in the East Bay. We kindly had McLaughlin and Moran, Budweiser, offered to sponsor the event for us and donate us some different kinds of kegs. We don't have crazy amounts of selection. That's not the gist of the theme. We're trying to make this a nice, fun, family-friendly event. And it's not just for people over the age of 21. We will make sure that we have ample ID checkers at the front gate, wristbands, and especially a stamp. We'll also mark the people that are under 21, and we will make sure that it is a very tended to, and it is not something we want to fool around with, and I think that we'll do very well with it.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So it's on Father's Day, and for $25, you get all the stuffies you can eat, 3 6-ounce beers, all go for a good cause, and it'll be all in a tented area, so bring your dad, and it's right after church at 12 o'clock. Walk around the town common and get a sample of the stuffies, put in your vote for the best one, and we should have a good time.
Thank you.
Just two quick things. Is that when they have the oyster thing?
Dimes.
Yeah.
Is that
The
when they
oyster
have the
thing
March of
is
Dimes?
downtown, yes.
Is that the same day, right?
Yeah, but they're later in the afternoon, and we're thinking it's a different, and they could do both.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
maybe you just need to link.
Little
like,
bivalve
select,
in the
well,
morning, little
Like, here's a
bivalve.
whole bunch of stuff you can do during that afternoon. You don't have to go, just to
Exactly.
let people know about
Like I said, that's why I always bring up, make sure everyone's in coordination with events, because there's so much going on at that given time. But for two great causes, so like we said, you could just make a whole afternoon and spend it with the family and whatnot.
And Courtney, I just wanted to comment, you've done a great job with the HES. I think we all appreciate what you've been doing as far as some of the nutrition aspects and the cooking demonstrations and things like that, and also the food on the move that you've been at.
Yes.
So thank you. You've really put yourself in the middle of all of that. I think that's very, very, very great to see you there and what you've done with your business. So thank you very much. We have
Thank you, I enjoy it.
Well put.
catered a couple of
Yeah.
the breakfasts here at
Yes.
Christmas time, and they are very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I'd just like to echo Councilwoman Perella's comments on your commitment to the Wood Street neighborhood, Courtney.
Thank you.
It's absolutely fantastic, and it's dramatic, the energy that we see in that neighborhood. So thank you so much for everything
Thank
you
you.
do over there.
I really
and Diana,
appreciate it.
you too as well. Thank you for your
Yes.
commitment.
It's the best.
Thank you both.
Good team.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Next item is item F2. This is the petition of the Bristol Warren Athletics Department Huskies Booster Club. Request permission to serve and sell alcoholic beverages and use the Maritime Center for their annual Champions Event fundraiser on May 24th. You have recommendations provided by the Town Administrator, Harbor Master, Director of Public Works, Fire Chief, and Chief of Police to approve with certain conditions.
Motion to approve the Champions Event fundraiser at the Maritime Center based on all the department heads' recommendations.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the Public Service Appointment section. The first is the Harbor Commission with term to expire in March of 2021. You have Dominic S. Franco, who is seeking reappointment, and also the Richard Scott Medeiros, who is also seeking appointment to the position. He currently serves as an alternate.
Make a motion to reappoint Dominic Franco.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is recommendation for Board of Fire Engineers from the Fire Chief.
Motion to approve.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
We also have the request of the same Richard Scott Medeiros, who would like to be considered to be an auxiliary harbor master. You have a recommendation provided by the harbor master, Marsili.
Upon those recommendations, I make a motion to appoint Mr. Medeiros.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is G1D. This is from Michael Riley of the Christmas Festival Committee, asking the council for the opportunity to add additional members, Catherine Murray and Jody Leffingwell.
Motion to appoint. Both
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Discussion point on here is that if you're interested in getting involved with the Christmas Festival Committee, there are opportunities there. We've had some people leave for a multitude of reasons. Nothing bad, just openings are there. So if you're interested in being part of that, what is a phenomenal event. In fact, it reminds me, I was walking past a father and a daughter, and the daughter looked at the dad and said, "Dad, this is like a dream." If you want to be part of that, then who wouldn't want to be part of that? Right. Then reach out to us you can go reach out through Town Hall, and we can get you to the right people, talk to them, find out what the commitment level is if you're interested. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next one, Mr. Chairman, was scheduled for interviews for last evening, and that meeting, as you know, was postponed to a date to be determined based upon the storm. So if you would like, we could just continue this to the next meeting.
So moved.
Can I
Second?
just ask a question while we're on this, so that maybe we could have an answer by the next meeting? I know in some of these cases where one of the points, Nathan, is to what you just brought up, there's never enough volunteers. for some of these activities. And, I mean, this is of a lot of interest to this person who helped get it started. Is there a way to either add another person to the trust or as an either as a full member or as a alternate? Because if there was, I think that might be a way to go on this. So, I mean, that's something you could let us know.
Yeah,
when
we'd
we
have
do
to look
the
at the trust documents.
Yeah.
So ordinarily, these things are completely under the
Right.
control of the council. This is one of those few times
Right.
where you're actually appointing some people to what is really an independent board. So you don't have control over the whole board, you only have control over 3 seats.
Right, and is one of those alternate or no?
No, I don't think so.
But can you guys look at it
Sure.
before we do the interviews? That would be great.
So we had a motion and a second to continue this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is item H1. This was continued from February 28th. This has to do with Councilman Stewart's concern about the BCWA interconnect with East Providence and Pawtucket. And that's the item.
So, Mr. Chairman, one of the directors could not make this meeting, so our clerk is communicating with the directors for rescheduling another date where all 3 of our directors can attend. I think that's the proper way to have
Agreed.
that communication with all our directors.
So I'm going to take that as a motion to continue. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is I1. This is correspondence from Chelsea Barton Carnes, Chairman of Keep Bristol Clean, providing an invitation for the council to participate in the 30th Annual Townwide Cleanup on April 28th, and also request a contribution to purchase a park bench honoring Robert Holt, who for a long time was the chairman of that event.
Welcome, Chelsea.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for inviting Keep Bristol Clean to present at the Town Council meeting. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be a part of the 30th annual Keep Bristol Clean townwide cleanup. As you know, Robert Holt spearheaded that event for 30 years, and he will be helping again this year. He assured me that he will be around. And Kimberly Bennett, who works for the Public Works Department, is co-chairing with me, so she's helping me out a lot. And I'd like to appreciate Bob Holt for nominating me and for his 30 years of dedicated service and passion for this community. This year's cleanup is Saturday, April 28th, and it kicks off at the Department of Public Works at 111 Mount Hope Avenue at 9 a.m., where all volunteers can have some coffee and donuts and hopefully meet and greet the town council, who will be there, hopefully.
Very nice job on that one. That was great.
And they'll receive work gloves, bags to pick up garbage, any kind of supplies that they need, and a little token of the Keep Bristol Clean organization, a little token of appreciation. We're seeking community members to donate their time to assist with this year's cleanup. And if you'd like to, if anyone would like to volunteer their time, they can give me a call, Chelsea, at 253-4100 at the Department of Public Works. The student volunteers who volunteer, from the high school or the college, will receive a letter of participation, which they can use towards community service requirements that some of the schools have. In previous years, we've had between 100 and 150 volunteers at the 37 different sites throughout the town, and we're hoping to at least have that same number this year. And as was mentioned, this is a milestone anniversary. It's a 30-year anniversary for Keep Bristol Clean, which is a big deal. It's largely been made successful due to the efforts of Bob Holt. He dedicates timeless hours. He just gives his all to this event, and we're hoping to fundraise enough funds to make a bench dedication in his honor. And we will greatly appreciate any donations that can be made. And I'd like to thank you all for your enthusiasm in this event.
Chelsea, how much is the total cost of the bench?
The bench cost, what I am told is, the estimate is $1,800, so $1,800. We currently have a little over $1,000, so $1,080 is what we have raised.
Give or take?
Give or take, thus far, and we're, still working on that.
And where are you planning to put it?
The bench would be located, there are a few locations in town, but I have discussed with Walter. Independence Park is a great spot to have a bench, and I'm told that Bob Holt really enjoys his time at Independence Park, so it would be a perfect matchup.
Just checking that you weren't putting it at DPW.
No.
I was like, I'm kidding.
I don't think he'd appreciate that as much.
I know, Walter, you have a vast background with park benches and you know, dedications. He does a wonderful job throughout the town. If Independence Park is the location, would that also need the involvement of the DEM because of that location?
No, because it's a replacement of one of the old ones.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay.
Excellent. So let's refresh a couple of things. So it's April 28th, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. Just bring yourself. You'll have gloves there if you want to use your gloves there, and you've got coffee and donuts,
Right.
and bags, and you'll point people in the right direction on where they can go to pick up garbage. I know that I've been there, and actually I think we all been there, and picked up garbage. I've done it with my family, too.
Yeah, it's a great family event, and for kids, it's a really great organization to get involved with because they're beautifying their community. They can start to be a little bit proud of their community, and hopefully, if they start young, they'll continue on with that.
Are you looking for the park bench to be done by that date?
In a perfect world, that would be great, but I don't foresee that happening. But we'd love to do a dedication in his honor at that event. We don't have to have the bench installed at that time, but just just in some sort of honor, we can just kind of make an announcement maybe on that date.
It's a well-deserved honor. The reason why I'm asking is from our perspective, with the collaboration of the input from all our residents and groups, once they're notified of that special recognition of the leader that brought them together for 30 years for that great cause, I'm wondering what the fundraising would be at that point, and then come to us with an amount that can be specified. That's why I'm looking at a timetable of a commitment
quick
now
turnaround to
or after
start
an
now.
assessment of more of a community outreach to see what comes in, and then where the town of Bristol stands at that point. So that I just didn't know which direction we were going.
That's an interesting point. Is that if I like that thought process too. Is that if by the 28th, maybe you give it a drop dead date. If whatever is left over, please come back in front of us. And
That's
I think
a great idea.
I think there's willingness from all that we appreciate what Bob Holt has done year after year, and he's a particularly perfect volunteer because he does it with no recognition wanted. In fact, he gets very uncomfortable, or he's standing where you're standing right now every year. So he did it because he loves Bristol, and I think that's wonderfully appreciated. Unless this council wants to go a different direction.
Well, I just think it would give the people an ample opportunity that would applaud him with that, dedication and be willing to donate. He has dealt with a lot of sponsors. We thank all the sponsors throughout the community that step up every year for this cause. Maybe they might want to contribute too. That's why I was just asking the question of the timetable of the park bench, and are we here specifying an amount now, or do we have that timetable where we can see where we stand from asking us at the end of that? So
I think that's the best idea, is to kind of hold off, and then at the date of the event, I'll have a certain number that we have raised, and I'll be able to come back to you all.
Great.
And you're absolutely welcome. We want to be part of this.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything else?
No, that's all. I'm looking forward to another great year of Keep Bristol Clean and lots of folks coming out.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all that you do.
Thank you.
Motion to receive and file?
Yes.
second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And once again, thank you, Mr. Holt, for your many years.
Item I2, this is correspondence from the governor, request council consideration for the adoption of a resolution in opposition to the proposed inclusion of the North Atlantic region in the 2019-2024 National Outer Continental Shelf Oil and Gas Leasing Program. Draft resolution provided by the governor's office is attached.
Amy, did you have a moment to peruse this resolution?
I did. As you can see, the letter enclosing the draft resolution was drafted a month ago on February 13th. Apparently, the Federal Department of the Interior sought public comments on the program proposal. that was subject to a March 9th deadline. I don't know whether that deadline has been extended or...
Yeah, they called and specifically asked for it.
Yes.
They did.
So, it's simply a resolution. I don't think it binds the town in any way.
So typically, the council hasn't really weighed in on state, but this just seems so straightforward, and I don't know anybody who wants drilling out there, and everything is so important to us. Our livelihood for so many people depend on it, and even if it didn't, it's so beautiful. It's important.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. I think our coastal resources need to be protected. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution in opposition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the annual request from the Armenian National Committee to fly the Armenian flag on April 24th.
Make a motion to approve this. I believe we do it every year.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Also, something the council receives every year is the invitation to participate in the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade in Newport to be held on March 17th.
I'd like to thank Mayor Winthrop for this invitation once again, and make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Chief, will you be there this year? Yes, excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is from the Coastal Resources Management Council. It concerns the public notice of the town's application for the Boardwalk extension. The deadline to request a hearing is April 5th.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is from Lisa Nelson of the Fix Our Schools Rhode Island. She would like to introduce the initiative to the council.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Nelson. I'm from Fix Our Schools RI. And this initiative is not only dedicated to making sure that our school buildings are warm, safe, and dry, but that they're equipped to educate our 21st century students for the 21st century. You received several supporting documents, and I'd like to draw your attention to one initially. It's the presentation slideshow. Slide number 7, toward the end, references $80. Pardon the typo, it should read 80 million. Thank you. Just a rounding error. And additionally, I'd like to point out as a point of notice that every single photograph in that presentation is from a school building inside the Bristol Warren School District. A year and a half ago, the school buildings in every community in Rhode Island were evaluated. They were assessed by a private and separate engineering firm, Jacobs Engineering. They compiled a report that we've dubbed the Jacobs Report. And that report was released in September by Governor Raimondo. Now, I know that school facilities are important to Bristol because of where the governor released that report. She released that report about the condition of our buildings from a Bristol Warren School building. She had a press conference and released that report from Kickamuit Middle School. So I know this is close to your heart. In that report, it identifies a few staggering numbers. $2.2 billion is the amount of money that Rhode Island needs to spend to bring its buildings in the school communities up to standard. Bristol Warren's share of that is $49 million. $627 million is another number. That's the amount of money Rhode Island needs to spend to bring its school buildings to the bare minimum of warm, safe, and dry. I'm talking fire alarms, roofs that don't leak. Immediate health and safety concerns, and Bristol Warren schools have a share of that number too. It's $11.8 million right now that exists in your buildings right now. And I don't say that for blaming purposes. I say that to reinforce the idea that this is a concern in every community. You are much better off than several other communities for your buildings. But every school building, every community needs help. None of them are perfect. And the governor recognized this after releasing this report and formed a task force to help develop ideas. It was co-chaired by Treasurer Seth Magaziner, who I understand is a Bristol native. Mm-hmm. He worked incredibly hard and came up with several ideas with that task force. The governor worked those ideas into two aspects of a plan. On your resolution that I've provided to you, there are two articles mentioned. Two aspects of a plan, two articles I'd like you to support. The first aspect is from Article 5. It's a $250 million bond at the state level. The state of Rhode Island has not done a bond for school facilities in almost 30 years. Wow. Massachusetts has done a state bond for school facilities in 7 out of the last 10. It's time. One question I get all the time about the $250 million is, but can Rhode Island really afford that? Really? Honestly, can we actually afford it? The short answer is yes. Treasurer Magaziner, of course, could speak to details, but we've collaborated with his office so extensively that I can tell you this. We are paying off almost $1.5 billion of debt over the next 10 years. $1.5 billion. Gone. Paid off in the next 10 years. The $250 million that we're asking for is a very small portion of the space that's available. It's going to be spent. It's available anyway. Let's put it towards something that invests in our students, our communities, our jobs, our economies, the buildings that our students and our teachers go to every day. The other aspect of the plan is Article 9. It's the details. Who's getting the money? How is it going to be spent? Where's the accountability? Remember when I mentioned $11.8 million of immediate health and safety concerns for Bristol Warren schools? That's important. That's important now. The available $250 million finds that that's important too. Communities aren't going to be eligible for that money because they have buildings that are in huge amounts of disrepair. Every community needs help. Bristol Warren needs that help. So as part of the plan, there are additional incentives to make sure we move and move quickly. I'm not sure if you know, so I apologize if I'm giving you information that you already do know. When Bristol Warren school facilities do projects related to construction, you get reimbursed by the state, 63%. With these new incentives that expire, by the way, in 5 or 6 years, so we do need to move quickly, with these additional incentives, Bristol Warren could have a project that receives up to 81% of reimbursement. So if you're looking at just the $11.8 million in immediate health and safety concerns, if you want to do those projects, you can wait, not approve this plan, and leave about $2 million on the table, or you can realize the incredible investment that we're having, that we're doing, this once-in-a-generation prioritization of our school facilities, and have an $11.8 million project where the state gives you back about $9.5 million. So with $11.8 million, you've only paid $2.3 million. It's not going to last forever, but it's important. And the governor and the treasurer and the task force and Fix Our Schools RI wants you to realize how important it is to us as well. So we're hoping that you will vote to favor and be in support of this resolution, just as I noticed the Smithfield School Committee is as well. They're later on your agenda, or they were already in your consent agenda. They've approved a similar resolution. So this support is working its way through communities in Rhode Island because everybody recognizes that nobody is left out. Nobody's left out from the incentives. Nobody's left out from the concerns. We got into this together, and we're going to do it. We're going to fix it together because it matters to us, to our kids. And if we can make the schools and the education system more appealing, Bristol will be that much more appealing to live in. I will gladly take any of your questions.
So, Ms. Nelson, I applaud your passionate presentation. I was at Kissimmee Middle School when the governor did that presentation. By all means, myself and the administrator sit on the building committee, and we commend the superintendent, director of finance, and director of our buildings. Just for clarification, Bristol and Warren has been commended by the Department of Education and the Jacobs Report for having proactive measures with our buildings for the past 5 years. And we continue to have that capital plan. We convey it to our residents so they know where their money is being spent, because you're right, it should be paramount that our buildings and the roof over our children should be safe and secure for an environment for a learning education for the future. Where my frustration lies is, this is a statewide initiative, and there's been assessments. We already did assessments for our buildings. That the state knows that. That's why we've been proactive. So we've been keeping our house in order, Ms. Nelson, and I understand this is part of the numbers that, in the capital plan, which myself and my colleagues will be in front of the school committee tomorrow for a school budget, which is very important when we talk about these situations with our buildings. I guess my frustration apart, and I don't mean to take it out on you, is having the governor, administration, and the treasurer and the Department of Education and the state of Rhode Island advocating municipality by municipality for how important this is, which we know it is. Infrastructure is important for this time and need for the buildings throughout the state of Rhode Island. Here in Bristol, I have to advocate on behalf of our residents that too far, we've been trying to have discussions with the state and the governor's administration and the Department of Education on funding formulas that, we were proactive many years when the state wanted schools to regionalize, and we took that step. And we received the bonus, and we try to do everything accordingly here in this community. And we tried to have discussions, and what we were told is you just got to deal with it. And here I see, yourself and everybody trying to advocate on other communities, once again, that need the support for this bond, with our residents paying at the end of the day, along with everybody throughout the state, which again is a good initiative. But it's just frustrating from our Bristol residents and Warren residents that we take proactive measures. We try to have discussions of what's important for our school needs, and we're told just deal with it. But here again, we're not going to say that to the other communities. Like I said, I'm in support for the infrastructure improvements. But from where I sit, on behalf of the residents, it's really frustrating that when I see this from my colleagues throughout the state that come and advocate to help other communities, but when Bristol and Warren try to go and say we need help because of a formula that might need to be addressed or other funding mechanisms, we're told, sorry, you're in the East Bay, figure it out on your own. But when it's their time and need for something, they come to Bristol and Warren and say, well, we need you for the rest of the state. So I'm sorry I'm taking it out on you, but I just want people to understand, from my perspective of if we're going to talk about schools, we've got to talk about the whole picture. So.
Did you want me to respond to that, or did you want to take another question first? I'm sorry, Councilwoman. Did you want me to respond first? I'm happy to hear your question first.
Whatever you prefer. It doesn't matter.
I'd rather not forget, to be quite honest. Okay. That's all right. Councilman, I understand your concerns and your frustrations. They are not things I have never heard before. I would reiterate two things. One, this does not increase taxes statewide. It's money that's already available. Think of it as the Rhode Island state credit card, and there's $1.4 billion that's going to be available. We don't need to spend it all, but it's already available. It will be space that's there. And we've spent it before on things like green space, things like the veterans. The veterans home is in Bristol. We've spent that money on things that will benefit our communities. Other communities across the state of Rhode Island voted in favor, in overwhelming favor, to put the veterans home and rehab it in Bristol. And you've seen the benefits of it.
It was already here.
It's a similar thing where it benefits the state as a whole. It is a state
veterans home, not just the Bristol veterans
You're
home.
right.
Okay.
But to have schools that are incredible around the entire state, not just in one community or another, is to say that as a state we value this. And because New England is very small and our states are very compact, when people are choosing where to live, that's a factor.
I did not disagree with you. I'm in support of the infrastructure improvements. I just want to just convey my other side of things of what we're dealing here in Bristol as a whole. So.
And I unfortunately don't know much about the funding formula. You'd have to take that up with Ride.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You told us to deal with it, so we... Just deal. So just to begin, could you tell me a little bit about Fix Our Schools?
Sure.
That organization. And do you work for the governor? Did you work for the governor?
No, we're a separate organization completely. We're a nonprofit. It came about, I work at a nonprofit health center, and I realized that the asthma rate...
In Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island, yes.
Okay.
And I realized that the asthma rate in Rhode Island among children is 40% higher than national averages. And I'm sure some of that goes to housing, but where our children, if not in their house, they're in a school building, the adult asthma rate in Rhode Island is 33% higher than national averages. So it got me thinking about public health and this crisis of asthma, and how is that a thing? I spoke to several people. The Department of Health had some asthma control representatives, and after just asking questions, I realized that several of those concerns might be related to our school buildings. At least if we can identify that some of those things might be contained in our school buildings and work toward fixing them, we might be able to eliminate several health concerns. And aside from that, when asking those questions, the coalition kind of expanded. So we ended up being a location, a clearinghouse for resources, information, and ideas. For every healthcare professional that I've spoken to, I've also spoken to scientists. Harvard has been fantastic. Brown University has been very helpful. I've worked with frontline caregivers. Rhode Island College nursing students have spent a half a day with me learning about this coalition. And we've talked not only about the health concerns, but how fixing the conditions, fixing the problem is not only good for our community, for our students and our teachers, but it's good for the economy going forward. The domino effect that we can see from this coalition has been pretty expansive. And so that's a brief synopsis of where the coalition came from.
Well, because I am, no question that there's a big need, and particularly in our urban environment. I mean, I work in an urban school district. I am, well-versed on the asthma rates and, what we can do about it, and have brought programs in to address that. And I think the issue that my colleague was raising is that two things, and I know we just sort of kind of went against our own rule a few minutes ago because it was very cut and dry, and but we don't usually take positions on referendum and other questions out there because, and I've sat in the legislature for 12 years, so having done that, there are so many nuances and so many issues and so many details that your presentation and what we've read in the paper is not going to convey every nuance and every bit of the information that we would need or that the legislature will be listening to when they decide to put this on the ballot. So that's one reason we tend to shy away from making these decisions, making these approving and going forward on these issues. I think that this issue, as Councilman Stewart said, if there's all this money available in Rhode Island, which I totally disagree with your portrayal that there's a credit card and it's going to list money free. You said that the debt service, because we pay for debt service.
We do.
And it's one of the reasons that our tax rate is so high in the state that it's very hard to generate business because we have big debt service. We have that locally that we always watch to try to wait before we bring on another project. So I think to use the analogy that that's just like a credit card, and in 10 years we're going to have like $1.6 billion we can just go spend. Well, if we can spend that, I'm sure you and your asthma projects and me and my other community school projects and everybody else and everything else that we're doing could all use some of that money. And I would respectfully say that this is a legislative issue for them to decide if they're going to put it on the ballot or not. If I wanted to communicate, or if we want to communicate to our representatives at the legislature, I think we could do that without going on this resolution. But I think that if we had money that we could say to the legislature, vis-a-vis the funding formula, we could use that money and we're going to take care of our infrastructure, but we need an adjustment because there is such a problem with the way we were cut, $800,000 for every year for 10 years, that I'm not sure that we should be on this, promoting this as a statewide initiative. Will I vote for this when this comes in, if it becomes before me in November? Personally, I will vote for it. But I'm just not sure that we should be putting this on and saying, yeah, go forward. Bristol's one of the towns that's just going, it's all gun-ho about it. Because there's lots of questions, lots of concerns, and it is a big chunk of money. So I think you're better off, rather than trying to sell every single town council to get on board, because your view is that the legislature is going to want to hear from them. We can have those discussions with our own legislature. What your work is going to be better done is try to get the public to vote yes on this, because when they hear this money and the money that gets touted in the newspaper and in the press on the $2 billion and the this and the that, and how many, $250 million over 5 years, whatever the amount is. It's a big number, and I think that is what you're going to need to do to get, the groundswell of support, because not only are you going to have like this bond issue on the ballot, whatever other ones that will be coming along, and there are always issues. There's issues of water resources, there's issues of open space, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have all the local issues that will be on the bond issues as well, as a bond issue. So I don't think anybody wants to come down on you. I think you're just doing what you feel is right. And if I was sitting there in a strategy session, I say, like, oh, let's go to all the town councils. I just don't think it's the best use of people's time right now. I really don't. I think the best use is let us deal with it if we feel that this is important to get at the state level, because either way, we're going to have to do this. I mean, one of the questions that comes up to me is, some of these buildings are not particularly old. They've been renovated and they've been built, not maybe within like the last 10, maybe time goes by fast, maybe it's been 12, 15 years, I don't know. You wonder how you could need that many millions to put into it. But every little problem, like, a heating system is like a huge thing when you're talking about a big school building. So I don't want anybody to take away from this that anybody in this, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I can speak for my colleagues, none of us are anti-fixing our buildings. But to say that the state has all this money to just give out and we should just jump on this bandwagon right now, I just don't think is the appropriate way to do it.
Mind you, Councilwoman, we have been, even with the cuts that we have been taking over the years in our school department, we have been fixing shovel-ready projects. I'm very proud to say that. And so I just wanted to make that part of the record.
Absolutely. And as I said, I think at least once or twice before, mentioning deficiencies is not to blame anyone, because Bristol is one of the communities that's been doing it right. You could set the bar. You have set the bar. You're incredibly organized, which is why your buildings are in the condition that they're in. This money that would be available, and for my characterization of Rhode Island having a credit card, was not to mischaracterize it in terms of having an amount of money that's available that's a blank check. It was to draw an analysis and to let everyone know that taxes at the state level won't be going up. It's not a tax. It's something that's available for the state of Rhode Island to begin with. Not spending all of that money is certainly a concern, and the treasurer would advocate for lowering the amount of money that we spend as a whole. But as that much money is available, and this much is a very small portion of it, you're exactly right with other initiatives that are going to need money as well. This is one that we feel particularly impassioned about. To address your concern that we should wait until we should advocate on behalf or advocate to the voters. We can't until the legislators get this out in June and vote in favor of it. So that's why we are here. We understand that the fight's at the legislature right now. It is at Capitol Hill. We know that. To that end, should any of you like to come on Thursday of next week, there will be a House Finance hearing about this very issue. There will be several people testifying. I'd love to see all of you there, at least to listen, to learn a little bit more, maybe testify yourself. Please feel free to contact me. I'd love to slot you in. To the extent...
Can I just say one thing to that
Sure.
point? I mean, to that point, from a resolution that just goes out there as a pro forma kind of thing means very little to the legislature. What's more important is getting the public and the school advocates to that hearing from a variety of towns. So your energy, in my opinion, would be better spent making sure you have urban, suburban, rural, people who have been doing it like Bristol, Warren, and people who have not had the ability for whatever reason. And making sure that you have a variety of people, from the kids to the parents with the asthma to the superintendents. You have to structure what that's going to be, and I'm sure you already know that.
We have that in place, which is why I've asked you.
That's what you need to be getting ready to do, because a lot of times these things here that come from all of us, not worth the paper it's written on. I hate to say it. A letter to our representatives would be a whole lot more effective than sending out a general resolution to, all the powers that be at the legislature. It's not that valuable in the end. What those kids have to say, the kids who are in those buildings are going to be the most powerful people that can testify that day. I know that from reams of experience, both sitting there and bringing kids for issues.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's all my point was. I'm not saying that you do what you want as far as this. I just don't think it's, I don't think it's going to make a difference if we're on board of this or not.
I respectfully disagree. I think Bristol has done it well for so long that people look to communities like Bristol to know what to do. Right. We are in this big mess. How do we fix it? Bristol likes this idea. What about this idea is so good? Let's talk to Bristol. And I'm coming to you as one of my first stops because I know it's important, and I know you understand that, and I know you're already doing a good job of it. But to be a leader in the state and to be able to provide that information to other communities, I think, is where the value lies.
Well,
if they see that you're on board with it, I think is crucial.
I'm sorry, one just last.
Sure.
I think that, I don't want to be misunderstood, but I think that's fine. People can ask us all those things. I just think that, I don't think anybody has enough information to say this is the best and highest use of money that can come into education, because we have a huge other problems here in our community.
We do. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have that are specific about it. I know I've kept you for quite a while.
Tim? So I just had a question in regards to other towns.
Sure.
Have you gone in front of any other towns, or you said we're the first year?
Not like this. We've spoken back and forth with getting on agendas. Tuesday was kind of a wash because of the snow. We were supposed to be on Portsmouth's agenda, so we were supposed to go there first. But yesterday was kind of a snowy disaster, so we did not quite make it.
So no other towns have passed the resolution as of yet?
Towns, no. School committees, yes. East Greenwich and Smithfield. And Portsmouth was poised to yesterday.
Okay.
Did you reach out to the Bristol Warren Regional School District, and what did they say? Were they in support, not support? What was the feedback from them?
We haven't gotten that far with them yet. I was talking with several town councils first because, as the councilwoman mentioned, at the moment the fight, even though we're working on both levels, the more urgent matter is to get people at the State House testifying at the House Finance Committee on Thursday in favor of this, local decision makers to state decision makers.
Well, in short, I guess I'm in support of this school infrastructure. I think it's we need to make sure our buildings are ready for the 21st century. I mean, you go into some of the buildings, they have one outlet, and we need to be providing our kids with what's coming down the pike with technology and making sure they're prepared for the 21st century. So I am in support of this resolution. I think it'd make a lot of sense. I mean, we'd only be paying, what did you say, $2.3 million out of their capital budget? I mean, makes dollars and
like
cents.
You've mentioned, you're going to do it anyway because you're organized enough, you're forward-thinking enough, you're going to do it anyway. These new incentives, if this plan gets to move forward, you'd be entitled to those additional incentives because your plans are already in place.
Yeah.
I'd like to echo my colleagues' support for this resolution. I think that although it may just be not worth the paper it's written on, in the end, I think it's important that we do have the opportunity to hear about these type of initiatives and weigh in on them, and be fully informed to communicate to those in our community the importance of continuing to invest in our schools. So I'd like to just offer that support as well. So I'd like to make a motion that we support this resolution as presented.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
All I'm going to say is I support the intent. I stated that from the beginning. I just want my colleagues to be mindful. It was just stated here that our own Bristol Warren regional representatives haven't been applauded to this resolution. I understand we're the leaders of the town. It also has been brought up, are we starting a precedent to adopt all the resolutions that come before this council? I'm just putting that out there in the open. So I support the intent. I just have caution of, I feel, like Councilwoman Perella said, we have serious issues and we're going to be dealing with them tomorrow night. The public knows that, and I think the best interest for our residents and our community, we should be advocating with the Department of Education, with the state of Rhode Island legislation, and the governor's administration on the needs as a whole of the funds that should be ample and provided to our school district. So. And
I'm sorry, Councilman, I may have misstated. The Bristol Warren School Committee is aware. We've provided this information to RIASC, the Rhode Island Association of School Committees.
Was it on their agenda? This resolution?
At Bristol Warren?
Yeah, they had a meeting on Monday.
I think we got in time when we were providing this resolution. We were doing it in the middle of last week, so I don't think we made it in time, but they do have it. And they've seen other communities pass similar resolutions, so they are aware of it, but in terms of getting on their agenda, we were unable to do so this time.
Is there any other discussion? Okay. So we have a motion and a second to support this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed?
I'm opposed because I just don't think we should go down this route. I personally will vote for this when it comes out. I believe that this is going to pass through the legislature, but I just don't think we should be in support of this with a little bit of knowledge that we have on this subject. So, and I've been consistent on that. I've said that many other times on issues that have come before us, because you've just encapsulated in a few minutes a very detailed issue that is filled with, and who knows what that legislation is going to say. That's the other thing. We don't know. So.
And that's why, Councilman, I agreed with you of the precedent this council's taken. So.
You voted yes.
I did, because being part of the building committee and with the administrator and our school department, at the end of the day, I said from the beginning that the intent of the safety environment of our students, but with the intricacies, as Councilwoman said, and from my standpoint, I was advocating more, and I was trying to convey to my colleagues of the standpoint of my frustration with the other side, which is in no part of your passionate speech for your topic here tonight. So.
Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
nothing else.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
The next item is I-7. This is Councilman Stewart regarding his request for senior services collaboration update.
Mr. Chairman, in the past, with the changes, I know through the administration and through the Parks and Recreation, we wanted to start a vision plan with some type of summit with all the agencies and entities involved. I'm just curious on how that is coming along. At the end of the day, with everybody who cares about our seniors and all the agencies involved, I just want to know where we stand with that.
Good evening. The community center has been working with seniors for a long time, and right now, this year, we've really increased our programming within the community center. Even on the week of January 21st, we had 622 visitors. 40% of them were over 55 years old. So we do that kind of programming within our community center anyway. And some of the activities that we're currently offering is chair yoga, adventurous walking program, senior bowling, which we do every week, pickleball, badminton, country line dancing, gentle fitness. Tai Chi is going to begin next week. Zumba Gold, yoga for cancer, and diabetes prevention programs. With Joanne coming on board, we're doing some programs. She's only been in the community center for about a month and a half. And on March 20th, we're going to have a senior safety workshop where police department member and Fire Marshal Ferguson will be speaking about lockboxes, fire safety, and current scams regarding targeting seniors. Also on March 21st, we'll be beginning a craft class for a 6-week craft class for seniors. And this particular one is really interesting. On March 26th, we've organized and are hosting a senior service collaboration meeting. Basically, we've invited all the senior programs in the town, regardless of what they do, to come to the community center and share information, share resources, share activities, talk about ways in which we can work together. We may be able, so we're not doing chair yoga in 2 different places at the same time. or doing a trip to, for instance, we're going to the Home and Garden Show. So we're not planning a trip for the Home and Garden Show, and then a week later, Benjamin Church's or
Franklin Court.
Eldercare is doing it. So that is really to get us all on the same plate, all working together, all sharing information and resources. We have a van and a minibus. Senior centers within the town may be able to use those for trips that we're made up. So it's really to look at ways in which we can reach out to all the seniors in Bristol and provide opportunities for them.
When is that date?
March 26th.
And what time is that?
It's gone, I don't have the time, but I think it's during the day.
See, I would suggest an evening date for us as a council, and if it's going to be like we're talking about when we have all the entities together, and have a clear plan of what's going to be discussed, like you said, that you just explained, but more to the end result of each role of and what people can contribute from their agency and whatnot, and really get a consensus and survey the needs of our seniors going forward. And like I always said, it's a partnership of everyone involved, and that's why it's much needed to bring everyone together like you're doing. But I know I would probably want to attend.
It may be planned in the evening.
And that is budget time, so that might be a conflict as well. So if we can just work on that. And as far as the updates, once this meeting takes place and there is a vision, I would like this council to get some quarterly reports or whatever my colleagues feel like it's saying of each contribution on behalf as a whole for our seniors going forward.
Mm-hmm. A couple of other things. On April 5th, we're going to have a legal workshop for seniors. We have an attorney through the University School of Law who will be speaking about power of attorney, medical issues, and the like. April 6th, we're going to be doing a trip to the Rhode Island Home and Garden Show at the Convention Center for seniors. April 19th, we have an Alzheimer's educational workshop educating caregivers, and it's presented by the Rhode Island chapter of Alzheimer's Association. And then in May, time and date not set yet, we're having the Corliss Center do a workshop on the American Sign Language. So we've got a lot on the plate, and it's all about programming. It's all about working together and collaboration with all the other agencies in the town.
And Walter, it
That's
seems
what
like
we're-
depending on your physical ability, there's something for everybody.
That's
You know
what we're
what I
trying
mean? That's what's
to.
kinda
We're really
nice, you know
trying
what
to.
I mean?
We see seniors as ageless. It doesn't matter. I'm 66 years old. I'm well into my senior citizen years, but I don't see myself as a senior citizen. So I will go to an activity like the Adventurers Club, which are a whole bunch of retired people that go out and go on a bike ride and they go for lunch, and then after lunch they come back, but they'll walk. And they'll go all over the state, and we've been doing that for over a year now, and it's really growing. It's growing, every week there's more and more couples that join. That's about it.
And I know each agency does a great job, and they talk with the seniors. I know when I talk to seniors, what I would like to see after everyone's contribution is come up with a type of survey to really ask the people that matter, is the seniors themselves, what their concerns are, what they would like in the future here in Bristol, certain needs or events or whatever. I know it does take place, but I think in a larger margin. coming out of this. We can have a town-wide survey to all those agencies to give to the seniors that have access to those seniors, because I find it amazing when I talk with seniors and what they answer. Obviously, the basics are, lower taxes, I want to stay in my house, transportation needs, but there's a lot more that I think we all can learn from. And if we can just have a documentation going forward as a town, I think would be important. So,
Can I just ask you, Walter, on the senior services info and resources on the 26th that you're planning?
Yep.
Is that all groups like Harbor Lights, Bristol Senior Center?
Harbor Lights has been invited.
All of those?
Benjamin Church has been invited. Diane Medeiros and Franklin Court, Elder Care, everybody.
I think that's good, because there's so many, I've heard from different people who are like presidents or involved with some of these different organizations. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about the housing authority types or, the CDC, but, they're like, how come I'm not getting people? I used to get people, but this one has this program. Well, you can't all run trips to the casino. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And so I would say, I think that's really good. The other thing that I think you cover it probably at the community center. I mean, one of the things that, I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes on except what you're offering in general in the evening. So if you're a senior that's still working, if you're technically a senior, like over 50, 55, and you're still working full time, to have like a diabetes prevention or whatever at 4 o'clock in the afternoon doesn't serve people who are working till 5, 6 o'clock. And so I think you need to have things that are both targeted the seniors who are home and retired and don't want to go out at night, at the morning or the lunchtime hour, and then another round for people like at 7-ish who are working. So
I come in every morning at 7 o'clock, and typically there's a class going on at 7. And the classes continue from 7 in the morning until about 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
And but it also, we have a dance program for 3-month to 1-year-old. And we have hula hoops for girls, and it's or for children that are preschool. So we really see the community as a whole is our mission. And we're not specific for any one group. Recreation is for everybody. When you're not working, you're recreating, and that's our goal. It's passive, it's active, it's emotional. We look at people's state of mind. I've had people that have pulled me into my office in tears because they just lost their husband, and going to the community center has saved their life. And it's not just the exercise, it's the touch, it's the caring, and that we have. Nellie particularly, there's a lot of us. We really love the people that walk in that door, and it doesn't matter who they are.
Well, they say isolation among seniors is one of the biggest
and that's what they want.
serious issues in reaching sort of a crisis proportion.
Well, I appreciate your report. As far as the date, I know for myself, I would like an evening, not during our budget. I know we have another discussion that was postponed last night, so it might give us some ample time to go into April to do another date that's an evening at Quinta Gamlin, where it's more of a feel where everyone's around and we can brainstorm. So I'll make a motion.
If I may, I just would like to add into the discussion, if I may. Were those programs that you listed at the rec center itself, the ones that you listed?
These programs right now are at the rec center.
And so,
they may change after our collaboration meeting. I understand a room like the Franklin Court Community Room is they want to utilize that room more. Well, why not do a program in that building for those seniors? It's not about the community center as a location. It's about senior services at any location.
So I just
is easier for them, the better.
Yeah, I just wonder that some of the programs that you listed, at the senior center. I know there's been a lot of thought put into them, and the conversation around potentially duplicating some of the offerings. And I think in this budget time, it's very important that we maximize our resources. And you mentioned the focus of the community center being on the community as a whole, from 3-month-old, year-olds, and the seniors are definitely part of that community as a whole. But as we look at the very specific needs of the senior population, I wonder if the recreation department has the capacity to strategically think about, coordinate these programs where, again, looking at the community as a whole, I think there's a real strong need when we look at both the locations and the services offered for our seniors, that we come up with a strategic look at what our population needs and how we fill those needs. Again, the horsepower and capacity to do that, I think it's broader than the community center and the rec department. And it's almost just seems like when you list through when you make that list of programs, and knowing what's going on at Franklin Court, knowing some of the things at Benjamin Church, it just seems like there's so much going on. There's some duplication. It almost seems like a ship without a rudder. And I'm just wondering where do we expect the leadership from in order to get us to where we need to be? And I think I would suggest that, as Councilman Stewart suggests, short of having a staff-driven collaboration meeting from that, we take a few more steps back and, as a town, look at what our needs are, what the resources are to fill those needs, and then implement very careful coordination to implement those strategies. So I think we should really think twice about how we do this. I think also it's important that we don't just do a few things here and there as far as pushing this effort forward. I think our seniors deserve a commitment for predictability and consistency in the services they're getting today. And I don't think that we should take too many steps away from the services that they've been getting until we really figure out what our services look like in total. So I'd just like to offer that and encourage this council to look at maybe a bigger picture, delaying that meeting. We have a conversation with Benjamin Church, an organization that we have decades of track record with, and being able to meet some of our seniors' needs, and that we start there and then continue to zoom out to come up with an overall plan. So that's my input.
Well, there's one issue that really disturbs me about this whole discussion in general, not just tonight's discussion. And it's all about senior services. Seniors going somewhere, seniors going to the exercise class, senior going to the meal site, seniors going wherever. But who's touching on the seniors that are at home that don't want to go to these other places, that don't need to, that want to maintain their home, that can help somebody when a storm comes up, that they can call a number and get somebody to come shovel for them? That, I think, is a missing link across the board in our discussions when we have them.
I agree.
And it drives me crazy because it's all predicated on every senior wants to go out with another senior at some senior event, and then they're all going to live happily ever after, and that's just not the fact. The fact is that many of them just want to be able to live in their home, in their community, be with their grandkids, and be able to call on someone to help them do the basics to be able to live in their own home. And somehow in this discussion, you've got to wrap these people into that discussion as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We had, this is an example of the fall brochure of South Kingstown. And this is the directions that I really think we need to go in, where we have programs. They have a fall program, a summer program, a spring, and a winter. And it's all inclusive. And it does things like that, Mary. It's very theme-oriented, but it takes personnel to be able to do that. And it does take collaboration. And I think Benjamin Church does an awesome job. Bristol Senior Housing does a wonderful job. They are all resources. It's not just the community center. It's how we perceive and think about seniors in this community, and how can we reach out and touch their lives. Going into their homes and saying, what do you need? You need to show your snow plowed when it's needed. Then we have a police department that really has already reached out to me to try to set that situation up. We have a university filled with students that would be very easy to get on a roster and do that kind of volunteerism. Bristol has more volunteerism than any other community I've ever seen.
By the way, Walter,
there is a resource in this
I'm
town.
not even talking about just volunteers. I'm talking about picking up the phone and saying, who is vetted that I could trust to come and do something at my house? And, and what is affordable rates? It doesn't even have to be free services. I mean, I think that's like a missing piece. And I do think that you're on to something. I think the wide variety, people want like a wide variety and a wide net. They don't all necessarily need to be with other seniors doing something. I mean, the people I know who are retired in town, they belong to like many senior organizations. But I'm talking about like Bristol Senior Center, Portsmouth Senior Center, Warren Senior Center, and they'll just go to all of them having different activities, and they'll just go to all of them. Do you know what I mean? So they're all the ones who are out there and mobile. They're moving around to the others. And the last thing I just want to say is I picked up in one of the coffee shops in Barrington one day, and I just can't recall the name of it. I think it's called the Peck Center. So it's not, I think that's their senior center, but it's called the Peck Center. And it's a variety of activities there, but it's not like they're going to the senior center all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because it's got another name.
I think to Councilman Tisker and Councilwoman Perella is the goal of not only the agencies, but invite Dr. Agatello to this summit. Invite the students that might form a volunteer program. Give the students something to form. We have so many groups popping up here and there. To your point, make the communication. After this, I call it a summit because we're really trying to bring everybody together to have the clear vision of the needs of what's being brought up by everybody in this room. So that's why I want to take our time when we do this and do it right. So.
Well, one of the things you might be wanting to do, this brings me back many, many years ago when I was a graduate student in city planning, and that is one of my projects one summer was to do a needs assessment for the Rentham Council on Aging. And I mean, I think you could find a grad student who is doing, some sort of a macro kind of program, whether it's planning or, and it doesn't, from any one of a number of schools, because kids will be here in the summer. And for a relatively small amount of money, and I've said this many times at the budget workshops as well, we don't put money aside for student activities. They need to earn some money in the summer. This is a great project. And there'll be a variety of ways to reach out to people. Because to really do that, you're either going to have to do a consulting, hire a consultant to do it well, or to have it be like a graduate level project. So that's my view.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I just would like to...
We know who you are, but if you could
Maria Doherty.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm also a Bristol resident. I just wanted to address a couple of things with the councilwoman. I'm not... absolutely 100% sure if the council is aware of actually what transpires in our town when it comes to our seniors. As you all know, I'm the president of the board for the Benjamin Church Senior Center. This past snowstorm that we just had, we, meaning myself, Donna Wilson, who's at the center, is in communication with police officers, firemen, volunteers that will go out and shovel for our seniors. We have a list. People have called in, and they're on a list when they need a path shoveled for them. We also work very close with the manor behind us. They don't have a generator, so when they lost power the storm before, our assistant director was there with pizza and getting people to sponsor stuff for them while they were in their community room. There's so much that goes on in the town of Bristol with the seniors at the Bristol Senior Center that we need to really all sit together and realize what is happening. Let's do it. We can make this even better. I don't understand why there's so much push and pull and who's doing this and who's doing that and who needs to be doing that. We are ready and we're excited to meet with Walter and everyone else in the town of Bristol. But what I need to remind everyone is that the Bristol Senior Center is the one and only entity in the town of Bristol that has had every program, every service, anything that has to do with the seniors has been in that hub. So let's remember that. Let's keep that in mind. Now, can we make it better? Absolutely. Are we growing? Absolutely. Do we finally have energetic people on the board and younger seniors on our board and younger seniors volunteering at the center? Absolutely. So you know what that means? That means it's only going to get better. Why aren't we working together? Why don't we stop pulling for this side or that side? I'm about just everyone working together. So we already have a snow removal program going on. No one was aware of that. We have numerous seniors on that. We already have coffee with the cop that we meet once a month, and we have police officers that come and talked about the lockbox. We already have so many things in place. Why don't we work together and stop this ridiculousness? This is absolutely ridiculous. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to let you know there's a lot going on in the senior center that our council and our town, I guess our councilmen are not aware of it.
Well, how are you promoting it? How are you promoting it?
We promote it. We've been promoting it. We have it on, we do Facebook constantly. We're out talking and meeting with people. We go to families. And when I say we, I mean Donna Wilson will go to someone's home. And I know this for a fact because just the other day, a family member from Arizona called her and said, my dad's alone and I'm trying to get him to go to the senior center. I want him to go out. He's always in his home. You know what she did? She got in her car after work, drove to that gentleman's house, sat with him for about 45 minutes, and before you know it, the following week, he now is on the bus, he has lunch, and his family members are excited that he's out of his house. You know, and Councilman Stewart, when you said, you know, it's all about the basics, transportation is the one most important thing when it comes to the senior center. For the families and the members, the seniors that are in their home by themselves, the transportation is what's going to get them out. So that bus that parks in our parking lot at 1:30, that's a waste. We need to be out there. We need to be picking up these people and taking them wherever they need to be. If it's Walmart, because the groceries are cheaper, the prescriptions are cheaper, you know, that bus should be running till at least 6 p.m. at night, 6 or 7 p.m. We're not doing any favors to our seniors by having that bus parked at 1:30. We need to get our seniors out of their homes. We need to get our seniors involved, and we need to do it as a town. It's our responsibility to our seniors. Now, I'm responsible. Walter's another responsible party. Donna Wilson, Benjamin Court, Candy at the housing. There's so many great people that can make this such a great program for all the seniors. We need to do it. This is absolutely ridiculous. We need to do it.
I don't think there's one thing that's ridiculous, but because this needs to be discussed, because the issue is there are many other organizations out there. I personally think there are too many small groups out there that don't know what's going on. And I believe that your organization, before you were involved, about a year and a half ago or so, raised the issue of why can't we have exercise programs at Benjamin Church? And he said, like, well, why aren't we coordinating with Walter? Because Walter's already doing some of these. So I think that's where that whole impetus came from. So I don't think people should say, well, it's ridiculous. No, we're just getting to the point now.
Well, I think it's, and I'm sorry, maybe you misunderstood me. I think it's ridiculous because no one really knows what we're doing there. So there's so much being done, and no one's taking the time to come see us.
You can't just go on Facebook. Because not everybody sees Facebook.
But you got to remember, we are growing now, so it's getting busier. We, you know, for the last year, it's been dealing with other things other than our seniors. So please keep that in mind, because if that were not the case, that would be a total different. There would be marketing involved. There would be campaigns for new membership. There's so much that we want to do that we haven't been able to do. But with that said, who cares? That's the past. Let's look in the future. Let's work together. We can do it. As far as the senior center, that's been the hub for our town.
But you guys have talked about needing a bigger place that's more convenient to seniors, that is like not a good location. And here you have a great location.
Well,
I mean,
to be honest,
belabor this point because we're going to have a whole meeting
right, but
about
to be
this.
honest, you know what? You know what would be great? We have our exercise program up there. That's a great building. They do such a good job. They've been doing it forever. That's great. But our diabetes and all the other program, let's do it at the house. We can make this work. We really can. I think they do a great job. They've always done bowling. They've always done some kind of yoga for the seniors. They've always done trips for the seniors, coordinating with the senior center. It's always happened. Why aren't we letting that be the case? And if they want to have it at the community center, at the Bristol Housing or the Franklin Court, absolutely. It should be done everywhere. That way those that maybe are within walking distance can get there. Anyone that's within walking distance from the Benjamin Church can go there. Anyone that's walking distance from the rec center can go there. Think about it. That would get them out. It's about getting our seniors out and including them, part of a community.
With all due respect, I believe the whole discussion tonight was, as you stated, you're stating what you do. I am aware of what you do. But you also said we have to come together as a town for expanded programs, because at the end of the day, Maria, it's not about us here. It's about the seniors. So if you're really going to say it's about the seniors, it's about us coming together, and that's why we're having this discussion.
And that's why I'm here.
And once this discussion takes place, I think we're all going to work together for that end result. So.
And absolutely, I cannot disagree with that. But I just want to inform our council of what is happening at the Benjamin Church Senior Center. And I welcome all of you to come and meet with me or John Wilson or anyone on the board to find out a little bit more of what we're doing. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman, what's your pleasure on this agenda item?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
There's a motion to receive and file and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is item J2. This is bid 873, the Bristol Wayfinding Signage Program. There were 5 bids received. The first is from Allied Environmental Signage of Farmingdale, New Jersey, in the amount of $133,700. The second is from Printing Lab LLC of West New York, New Jersey, in the amount of $172,170. The third from Orion Architectural Signage of Carnegie, Pennsylvania, the amount of $78,436.14. The fourth from Foreman Signs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $52,275. And the last from Geograph Industries Incorporated of Harrison, Ohio, in the amount of $72,505.
Motion to
What a
refer to.
differential. God, over $120,000 difference between some of these.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
So
I was going to make a motion to refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Item J2, we have the spring tree planting bid. We received 2 bids, one from All Island Landscape of Portsmouth in the amount of $22,995, and the second from Central Nurseries of Johnston, Rhode Island, of $25,532.
Motion to refer the bid to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next, we have the individual council member agenda items, beginning with the chairman.
So did you look around Town Hall for quite short money, a lot of effort and a lot of elbow grease if you come through? It looks great in here. There was a coat of paint. Hats off, Mr. Administrator, hats off to the DPW. The guys have been working real hard in here. Some wonderful additions in the front there, some cleanup. It's a great way to use what's at our disposal. So we didn't go and we spent money on paint. We used the guys. Obviously, that's not free, but it looks wonderful, and it's much more appropriate in here. It needed to be cleaned up. So nice job. We had a snowstorm yesterday, and we're here today, and the roads look wonderful. Hats off again to DPW. There was a horrible storm a couple of weeks ago. Did you lose power? I know I did. 4,000 homes lost power. So it was a challenging one. There was a lot of people who lost power. I was down in Wareham today, and there was no power down there from the storm yesterday with all of the wind and everything. So we were fortunate on that, if you can say that. I know that a lot of people were out for a few days. I know there's a lot of efforts made to bring it back up again. Saturday is St. Patrick's Day. If you celebrate, I know the chief and the color guard, is that correct? They will be marching in the parade. So Chief, you brought something to my attention about the pre-prom meeting tonight, and then I'm sure that you're going to probably elaborate on that. We have a Joint Finance Committee meeting tomorrow. For those of you who are not familiar with that, Joint Finance is the committee that approves the yearly budget for the school, and that's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the high school auditorium, if you're interested in joining and seeing what's happening there. Besides what I just went through, I'm all set. Oh, I'm sorry, I left one thing out. Saturday was the B, which is the spelling bee for the Bristol Warren Education Foundation. The council, Mary, Tim, and myself were out as quickly as you think we were. We had 2 rounds. The second one was because Councilman Stewart paid to keep us up there, which was just the wrong thing to do because we were out and about. It was good for a good cause, but we were out and down, and it was a good event as always. So nice job, everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney.
I'm also very brief tonight. I just wanted to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. And if I don't see you around town, happy Easter and happy Passover. Have a good night.
Mr. Tiska.
I'd like to reiterate the chairman's invitation to come to the JFC meeting tomorrow night to consider the school budget. I'm hoping for open-minded consideration on how we work through what I think is a multi-year challenge and hopefully take a step towards that solution, the first step of many. I do want to also invite everyone to come next week to our budgetary hearings next week. And I'm anticipated the chairman, but on his behalf, I'd like to remind everyone that next week, most evenings of the week, not all, except
Monday,
for Wednesday.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yep. It's the agenda for each evening, which can change depending on the timing of events, and the accelerated discussion may change, but it's a great, I think, opportunity to understand line by line some of the challenges that we will have as a municipality and some of the recommendations that our administrator made. So I look forward to that process. Thank you.
Ms. Perella.
Thank you. So in relation to the first nor'easter that we had, where a good part of the town, I think over 60% lost power, I wanted to commend, the people that all worked on that and to make sure everyone was kept safe. I know the warming center, Walter, you had over at the rec department. I stopped there just to check it out one night. On the Saturday night, I didn't have power, but I was at my sister's, and I was coming back home, and I said, let me stop there. And I had a delightful time with, is it Donna Furtado? She was the staff person on duty, and there were she was terrific, very welcoming, there were 2 women there, one with one of her pets, and, they just couldn't take it in their cold homes any longer. So I know they stayed that evening. And I have to say, I had a very nice chat with them, and I would say it was kind of a lot of fun into the time that they were there. It was a small group, but it was very fun. Of course, don't let it be said that issues don't come up. So I am more than happy to bring this issue up. And Steve, I mentioned this to you, and DPW is not here, but I just took some pictures of myself on Ansonia Avenue. And this is the south section. That the road is kind of very dilapidated, and it's a particular area in front of one piece of property where the water is coming down from Maritime Avenue. So I'm not sure if that's just a drainage issue, if it's eroded the bed on the road or whatever. But these are my photos that I took. If you want to just pass those over, and if you could take a look at it, I'd appreciate it. I know that you told me that it was not on the list of roads to be repaired, but needs to get on there eventually. And if you can just take a look and maybe see if there's a way to mitigate maybe some of the drainage issues that go on. So thank you, Walter, for the warming center, and Sarah, I'm sure you had people in and out all day charging things and everything like that. And to know that that's there if we needed it. I know no one knew. I think we were all holding our breath yesterday to hope that we weren't going to lose power. Then I also just wanted to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day, a happy St. Joseph's Day, which is on Monday. And are we not having a meeting? I know we're going to have many meetings, but are we not having an official meeting before Easter? Is that it? Somebody said happy Easter.
Well, April 1st would be Easter.
Right, I know. So We don't have another
Well-
council meeting before now, Ben and Easter? Offhand,
No,
it
the
is-
next meeting is April 11th.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay,
The
but
rest
you
is
have
a-
plenty of
Oh, we have plenty of
workshops.
meetings. We have plenty of meetings, yes. So happy Easter and happy Passover to people as well. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart.
To your point, Councilwoman, Steve, I believe with my history with the roads, there is a runoff on Maritime that affects Estonia. So when we look into that, I know I say this at every meeting because it's frustrating from the residents of so many potholes right now, and they want to know when their roads are getting done. And time again, you know, it's $1 million that we have appropriated from this council. We're going to be doing budget. There is a list, and we've been just trying to maintain with the potholes. But, you know, with the weather pattern, the asphalt just comes up again. So we just ask for patience. I don't have much tonight. Just thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Mike Davis, Sergeant Arms, Archie Martins, and everybody tuning in at home. Thank you.
Town Administrator agenda items.
I'd like to give a brief update on some of our projects. We're waiting for spring to finally arrive. We're going to replace a good number of sewer mains in the Soames Drive area. We're waiting for the state revolving fund money to be awarded June 1st, but we're ready to go anytime after that. That'll also include Fairview Avenue, the drainage and sewer main. The drainage is a 24-inch culvert that's going to help alleviate the flooding of the water pollution control facility. So it'll actually take that water when it gets to a certain level, rather than inundating the facility and causing a compromise, it'll actually bring it out into the harbor, fresh water. Tanyard Brook, we're on target. Every easement is signed. The last one was signed today, so they're all signed. Construction should be right after the 4th of July. We're on schedule. As Councilman Stewart mentioned, road paving should be advertised this month. DPW is ready to go. We're going to try a different strategy this spring. We're going to be saw cutting potholes. We can't get to every street, unfortunately. I know it's frustrating to the public. We're trying to catch up. We did a good amount of paving last summer. We're going to do it again this year. And we're going to try to do a better job with the potholes this summer with the crew at saw cutting and compacting.
Steve, excuse me, can you explain the saw cutting? You're going to cut a section?
Yeah,
out and then
cut a
put it
square.
back?
Yeah, cut a square. Make sure that the base is solid. Pack it down, and put 2 layers of hot asphalt. That's the plan.
So that's a more comprehensive way
Yeah,
to
it
do
is. Yeah, even though some of the roads are set to be paved, there's just such a backlog that it's going to take a few years to get caught up.
And if I may, to the residents, if there are sensitive areas, because sometimes our roads undermine just after one storm without being acknowledged of what's underneath, and you live in one of those areas, please reach out to the administrator's office or the Department of Public Works so we can put cones or horses for safety purposes until we can assess and address the situation.
There's other projects a little bit further out, but very exciting. There's also the Boardwalk extension and repairs of the Seawall. We're ready to begin with that. These are all things that are going to happen this summer. And much needed infrastructure, that's what we're working on. No frills, but things that need to get done, and long-term investments. Tomorrow's a special day for us. Mayor Christina Callisto from the city of Lagoa, St. Michael, she'll be here at 10 a.m. She'll be in town for a few hours with a delegation. The public is welcome to join us at 10 a.m. here at Town Hall. We'll have a shuttle, and we're going to take her to several spots. One of them is CNC Fiberglass. The oldest Portuguese beneficial club in the United States, the Lincoln Club. We'll have a coffee there. So another stop is Mosaico Park, where she lent a mason last summer to help us. So that'll be exciting, 10 a.m. tomorrow, and I believe she leaves about 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Other than that, happy Easter to everybody at home and to all of you, and good night.
I skipped one thing I wanted to share. Saturday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, at our animal shelter on Minturn Farm. If you've got a cat, a dog, or a ferret, I didn't know we did ferrets too, it's or a leprechaun if you have one of those. There's a rabies clinic. It's $10. They ask for cash only. And if your cat or your dog, dog is not licensed, you can get your dog licensed right there on Saturday, and that's from 1 p.m. to 2:30. That's very inexpensive and very, very important. That's all. Was there anything else? No? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
There sure is. Yes? Go ahead. Please, welcome.
Howdy, Brian Wilner, 85 Kingswood. I'm Thea and Leo Wilner's dad. I know the Joint Finance Committee meeting is tomorrow, and I think a couple of you have made clear that you see education is super important in funding the schools fully this year. So anybody on the fence, please come to that side and fund the schools fully this year. It's important to a lot of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Carly Reish. I'm also a Bristol resident and the parent to Liam and Brigitte Reish. And I, too, have been working with some other members of our community to learn a little bit more about the process. And we're hoping to remind those of you on the fence, too, to please prioritize education. I know there's been a lot of talk tonight about different sorts of capital projects, et cetera, that need to be taken care of. But we're really hoping that as a community we can come together and prioritize our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.